On August 22, 2024, the second leg round of 16 of the Copa Libertadores was being played. Everything was fine and going to plan, and the game started. The first leg ended up in a 0-0 draw, so it was all to play for in the second leg to see which team would make it to the quarterfinals of the competition. In the 31st minute, Damian Bobadilla scored to give Sao Paulo the lead in the game. Halftime came, and both teams planned out for what they were going to do in the second half. Nobody would plan out the tragedy that would occur later in the game, though. The second half begun, and it all started like normal. A few substitutions were made, but most notably, the one of Juan Izquierdo. Juan was born in Montevideo, Uruguay, on July 4, 1997. He was raised in the poorer neighborhood of Nuevo Paris in Uruguay. From there, he would grow and play football as his favorite hobby. He would eventually be found really talented and made it to play football professionally. What nobody knew was that Juan had an ongoing heart condition that would change everything. In the 47th minute of the game, Jonathan Calleri scored to give Sao Paulo a 2-goal lead, meaning it would send Nacional out of the competition. The game was seemingly going to normally end soon when suddenly Juan collapsed on the pitch. Players rushed to start conducting what was going on with Juan and why he collapsed. The players immediately called the medics to perform CPR and stop him from unconsciously swallowing his tongue. They then called emergency services of the area, and Juan got transported to the hospital. For the first few days, he was conscious and starting to get better from his big scare. But soon things started to turn for the worse. His heart was very abnormal and started to fail once again. On August 27th, the dreadful news came out that Juan Izquierdo had passed away. The club, many other people, and organizations sent out their condolences for the player and his family and friends. On June 23, 1994, the World Cup was happening and was ongoing with the group stage matches. During these group stage matches, many teams would obviously win, lose and draw. But the more interesting game was the one where USA clashed with Colombia. The match was normal and ended up with USA winning 2-1. But out of the 3 goals, one stood out from the rest of them. You see, the first goal of the match was an own goal that was scored by the Colombian defender Andres Escobar. He was trying to block a low cross from an American player, but that went downhill real quick. Escobar accidentally hit the ball into his own net after trying to block the ball out of the pitch, which unfortunately didn't work. The match ended and Colombia were eliminated in the group stage of the World Cup. After the World Cup on July 2, 1994, Escobar went to a nightclub in Medellin, Colombia, to get his head off the World Cup elimination and own goal. What he didn't know was that this would become his last night alive. There are 2 stories to how he died. One is Escobar picked a fight, and the other was that he was just hanging around the club. But at the end of the day, most reports have said that when Escobar got shot, the culprit would shout, "Goal!" for every shot he would take at Escobar, because that is what one of the commentators on a broadcast said after his unfortunate own goal. He was reportedly shot 6 times and was left bleeding out before his passing. 45 minutes later in the hospital, he was pronounced dead by the medics. 3 men were involved in the murder, but most notably Humberto Castro Munoz, who later admitted to the murder of the footballer. He was sentenced to 41 years in prison, but after rule changes and good behavior in prison, he only served 10 to 11 years after his conviction. Many people got really angry over this and stated how corrupt the government of Colombia is in these matters. Andres Escobar was later made a statue in his honor at the same city he got murdered, Medellin, Colombia. On October 14, 2014, Bethlehem Vengthlang FC were playing Chiang Mai West FC in an MPL game on India soil. Bethlehem were trailing Chiang Mai 1-0 and were in search of a goal. Throughout most of the game there were chances, but none seemed to be going in at all. This is where Peter Biaksangzuala, a defensive midfielder who would give everything on the pitch and known to read the game really well, came up for the team when they needed him the most. A free kick was taken when suddenly it went to many places and even hit the post when it finally came down to one player, Peter Biaksangzuala. He scored and tied the game up for the team in the 62nd minute to give Bethlehem newfound motivation to go for the win. This is where things would change for the worse though. Peter Biaksangzuala was very happy when he scored, and his celebration would show it. He went in the direction of the corner flag and tried to hit a cartwheel, followed by a backflip when suddenly everything went wrong. Teammates swarmed him to celebrate the goal he just scored. But that quickly turned into a huge concern. His teammates realized fast that he wasn't moving at all and called emergency services. He was taken to the Azul Civil Hospital urgently, where he was in intensive care for 5 days. He underwent surgery for his broken spine from the backflip to try and save his life. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. He was pronounced dead 5 days after his accident on October 19, 2014, in the same hospital in India. Many people mourned his death heavily. His family, friends, teammates, and the whole town, Aizawl, Bethlehem Vengthlang FC, decided to retire the number in honor of Peter after it was revealed from a statement made by the club and the Mizoram Premier League. Bethlehem Vengthlang FC coach Danny Lalduhama said, quote, "Peter was a lad with a good manner who always maintained his discipline on and off the pitch. I don't think there are many like him." Rest in peace to all the footballers mentioned in this video. They will never be forgotten.